What's up, everybody? It's Glenn and Big Jack back with another best bets of the NFL weekend video. We are going into week 7, and we both went 2-1 last week in week 6. If you didn't catch it, we didn't get together to make a video last week. I just made one with Jack's picks being mentioned, but we both went 2-1, bringing Jack up to a 9-9 overall record on the season and improving my record to 11-6-1 on the season. Big Jack, it feels good for both of us to get some winning records last week. Excited to be back to make another video. How you doing?
Absolutely. Like we always talk about, the 2-1s feel great. Nothing better than the 3-0s, but 2-1 is sort of the goal every week. If you can do that consistently the way that you have to kickstart this year, that's turning quite a profit. So hopefully I can keep going a little more on that trend, and you just stick to whatever you've been doing. It's been rolling in the dough so far this year.
Yeah, it's been really positive, and it's been a pleasure so far, especially considering the two previous years didn't have very much success. But I will say, last week 2-1 record, didn't love my picks. The week before 2-1 record, I think, didn't love my picks. This week I love my
3-0
picks.
the week before.
All 3-0 the week before. This week I love my picks, and I'm not sure that's a good sign. So, with that being said, I'll get into my first pick. New York Giants, they played Sunday Night Football against the Bills. Defense looked good, low-scoring game. They got a divisional game against the Washington Commanders. Everybody's probably thinking under. I'm going over. I'm going over 37.5. Washington at the New York Giants. I think there's a chance that defense is a little bit of a letdown after that heartbreaking loss to the Bills last week. Maybe a little bit deflated. Not a true short week, but a little bit shorter because they played that night game. And that Washington defense, they give up points, man. So 37.5, it's a low number. I get it. It's a division game. But I'm going over 37.5 in that game. I actually kind of like the Giants in this spot, too. I didn't pick them. But I like the Giants to be able to score some points this week. That's my first pick of the week, over 37.5.
It's funny, man. You've been doing a lot of over-unders this year, and I feel like you maybe even be undefeated on them. You've been having some great success with it, and last week was a pretty wild. I mean, scoring in the NFL has just been down in general this year, but last week was definitely a curious case where I think the unders were like 12-2-1 against the numbers. So, there's got to be some regression to the mean this week. So I like the over pick, regardless of how ugly a game that may appear to be on the surface. My first pick, I'm actually going to go chasing right after the only loss I had last week. I was on the Colts down in Jacksonville. I'm going to ride them again. I'm going to take them at home. Colts +3. The Browns have been good to me this year. Luckily, I've been on them in their good weeks, but they've been a very Jekyll and Hyde team. One week they come out, blow the brakes off somebody, look like a legitimate team. The next week they sort of lay an egg, get in a dogfight against a bad team, and it's just back and forth. And they've just been up and down all year with that. I'm not really sure what's going on with Deshaun Watson still, but I think the Colts, if Gardner Minshew doesn't throw 3 interceptions, I think they're in a lot better shape than they ended up being down in Jacksonville. I think they're pretty solid overall. I like the way Shane Steichen's been running the team. I think Jonathan Taylor in his 3rd week back should be a little bit more almost all the way back to his typical playmaking self. And I think a lot of people are going to be giving love to the Browns coming off of what they just did to the Niners. So I'm going to take the Colts at home +3.
All right. Obviously, the Browns defense has been pretty freaking tough this year. But I do kind of like it as somewhat of a letdown spot. Like you said, coming off that somewhat surprising win against San Francisco. I like the pick. I see where your head's at. I like it. All right, my second pick of the week, sticking with the over-under theme. I think the matchup is going to be 2 rookie quarterbacks, Tyson Bagent versus Aiden O'Connell in Chicago. two rookie quarterbacks. You're not going to score a lot of points. This is going to be a low scoring game. Wrong. Wrong. It's going over. And it's not going a little bit over. It is going way over. We're talking turnovers, short field, pick sixes, scoop sixes, dog shit football. It's going way over 37.5. And I also will say, I bet both offenses score a couple touchdowns. It's not like their starting quarterbacks were lighting the world on fire. Over 37.5, Vegas at the Bears. I think that goes over comfortably. I could be wrong, but I think it goes over comfortably.
I hope so, man, because good God Almighty, that looks like an ugly game
It
on
looks
paper. So
terrible.
hopefully we could be nice to get some fireworks out of it. It is kind of interesting with the whole Aiden O'Connell homecoming game for him. He's going to get an NFL start in his sort of where he grew up. And yeah, I mean, I'm not, you know,
I
I
know
don't
he's
think
a.
Bajan's going to
I know he
be.
was a Purdue guy, but did he grow up in the Chicagoland area?
Mhm.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, I don't know where he went to high school. It's eluding me now that we just randomly are talking about it. But yeah, I
sure,
know he's from here.
gotcha.
Um, anyway, but yeah, no, I don't think Bajan's going to be some, savior or anything like that. I'd much rather still have Justin Fields on the, playing on Sunday and kind of keep progressing to make sure we get as much, collect as much information as we could on him going into next off season when, the decision really has to be made. Yeah, what's up?
Stevenson High School in Lincolnshire is where he went. So you are correct about that.
Yeah. Um, but anyway, Stevenson, isn't that the name of the college that Bajan went to?
No, he went to Shepherd.
Shepherd, that's what
Yeah,
it is.
yeah,
Gotcha, gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that would have been a wild coincidence. But yeah, sorry, got a
You're
little
good.
thrown off track.
You're good.
I'm not too excited about Bajan. I know, people are tired of Fields and are like thinking Bajan's going to be this hero, but I think he's probably just a Division II quarterback who is a cool story, but is probably not going to be very good. So yeah, I don't know if I could get behind that pick myself, but like I said about your other one, I mean, just the sheer fact of the amount of games that went under last week, you got to think there's going to be some points at some point along the way. I wouldn't be surprised if the NFL referee's office, heard some noise this week from the commissioner's office saying, let's be a little tighter out there and get some points on the board. Call it a little tighter on the defensive side. But anyway, moving on to my next pick, I'm going to go with the Ravens at home -3. Coming back from London, they looked good in London. Handled Jacksonville out there, who had been, or excuse me, Jacksonville handled Buffalo out there, who had been playing some pretty good. Wait a minute, I'm all over the place. Who did they just beat out there? The Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Buffalo and Jacksonville because that's who played there the week before. Blame it on COVID, man. But anyway, I think I like the Ravens at home -3. They got the Detroit Lions coming to town. Lions have been absolutely rolling for the most part all year, other than that overtime hiccup at home against Seattle. Going into the season, I didn't think the Lions were that good. We talked about it in our divisional videos. I just wasn't that high on them. Probably a little jaded view just because the lens I've always seen the Lions in is that they're not a good football team, and I just was hard for me to believe that they were going to make such a drastic jump that it looks like they may have. But I'm still not all the way in, and I think the Ravens are winning games. They played well, handled Tennessee last week, and they got in the red zone 6 times, and I think they only scored one touchdown or something like that. So they're like teetering on the edge of like, yeah, that's something you should be concerned about. But I also think they might be closer to a breakthrough. Lions are a hot commodity. A lot of people after that 49ers and Eagles both lost, a lot of chirping about how the Lions might be the cream of the crop in the NFC. I still don't see it personally. I think they take a hit this week. I like the Ravens at home -3.
It was one of Todd Furman's best bets of the weekend on the ESPN radio today. So um,
Oh boy, that's not a good sign.
there you go.
I love the Furman segment on there, but he has been not good this year. I think he's been like okay with his college picks because he does a blend of college
Yeah.
and NFL. But I don't know if he's picked an NFL winner in a long time, so that's a bad sign for me.
All right, my third pick of the weekend, finally off the over under, is going to pick a side. Um, the Dolphins, they're one of those teams. They're flying hot. They got good offense. We haven't seen this year. The games they're winning are against bad teams. The one time they went up against a good team in Buffalo, they got bullied around. They're going to Philly.
Go,
Uh,
go, go. Sorry.
you catching a
Yeah, the
touchdown.
Jaguars.
The Dolphins are going to
No,
Philly. Philly's only minus 2.5. I'm going to go Eagles minus 2.5 versus the Dolphins. I think they bounce back after their disappointing loss to the Jets last week, and they get right. They get a win, cover at least the 2.5. Philly minus 2.5 versus Dolphins at home.
no, I think that's a good play as well. One of my one of my better picks of the year was probably that Jets plus 6.5 last week. I wouldn't have
So was the Bills versus
expected them.
Dolphins. Weren't you on that too? Yeah.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have expected the them to win the game
Yeah.
outright. But the Eagles have just, I guess, which is a testament maybe to how good they can be as the season moves along. Excuse me, they've been winning every game, but like not playing particularly well, and it was bound to catch up with them eventually. I think that maybe that's a little bit of a jolt that they need to, really get going, really lock in. Kind of probably the coolest game of the week you're on there. I think it's
Sunday night
you
football.
know, it yeah, it rarely happens, but I do think that's a low key, like, small potential Super Bowl preview. I'm not as high on the Dolphins as the majority of people seem to be. Both of us kind of said it at the onset of the season, like, it's how long can they stay healthy? How long can they do it? And this is pretty much very similar to how they started last year, and we all know how that sort of unraveled down the stretch. So, we'll see how it plays out. The next game I'm going with, I do not love this love this pick, but I'm gonna ride it. I'm gonna take the Chargers on the road against the Kansas City Chiefs. They're getting 5.5 points. Chargers are a little banged up, which makes me worried. I don't feel great about their offensive line. They got that guy. I'm tweaking on his name right now, but the guy who's out because of like some sort of heart condition or something. He was like their offensive captain, leader on the line. I
Yeah.
think they're a little, disjointed without him, but Herbert's just so good on the road against the spread. Their Chargers are very much like the Vikings, in my opinion, where they might not be a Super Bowl contender. They might not even be a playoff team when it's all said and done this year, but they are in it each and every week. That comes down to the wire. They got a chance to win the football game. And I think it's the same this week. I think they go into Arrowhead, tough place to play, divisional game, catching 5.5 points off of a disappointing loss at home to the Cowboys. I think they keep it tight. I think Herbert plays a little bit better than he has. I look for them to get Quentin Johnston involved a little bit, and I think they cover that spread. I honestly would not be shocked if they pulled off the upset outright. So I love the 5.5 in that spot.
Yeah, I like that pick. I personally would be surprised if they got the W, just because I think Herbert's great, he isn't necessarily closing out these games in crunch time. How much is on him? Who
Yeah,
knows?
no
But
doubt.
I would be
I
surprised with a
think
win. But
yeah, I think very Kansas City obviously got a little more, not a little more, they got a lot more pedigree.
yeah,
Everyone knows what they've done the past few years, but I look at them very similarly to kind of that spot I saw last week with Philly and the Jets. Kansas City's winning games. Their only
yeah,
loss was to the Lions. It was a tight game at home, and they didn't have, other than Mahomes, they didn't have their two best players. Jones was
Right.
still holding out, and Kelsey didn't play. So they've been rolling still, but
Yep.
they're similar vein to the Eagles. They've been getting it done, but they haven't looked great. And I mean, maybe that comes back to haunt me. Maybe this is the week that they put it together and it's not even close. But I think Chargers can keep it tight.
Right on. All right, just to recap, the 6-way parlay is in play, considering we're not going up against each other. But Jack is on the Ravens -3, -105 is what I'm seeing at home versus the Lions. He's on the Colts +3 versus the Browns at home, and then the Chargers +5.5 at Arrowhead playing the Chiefs. I am on the over in the Giants Commanders game. I am in the over in the Vegas Bears game. Both those are 37.5. And then I am on Philadelphia -2.5 at home versus the Dolphins on Sunday Night Football. I like our picks, Jack. I don't see any reason why that parlay isn't very much in play this weekend. But till next time, it's been another edition of Best Bets. We'll be back with a Bears update, preview, recap video, etc. And we'll be back next week with some more bets of the NFL weekend. Jack, give it to him one time.
Keep it rolling, baby. Mike's on fire. Bears.
Bears.